Hey guys, welcome back to another part. In this one, we're going to talk about telling a story. So we're going to be adding more cameras and we're going to frame some storytelling elements within the scene. And we're going to adjust the light a little bit as well. And finally, we're going to add more details to sell these shots as a cinematic sequence. So let's go into Unreal Engine. This is where we have left off, and I think it is looking quite good already. So this will be our opening shot. In the next part, we're going to be animating our cameras, but not at the moment right now. So we want to use more cameras. Let's just call this cam 1 because this will be our opening shot. And let's actually duplicate this by holding Control and D. And let's move this. Let's change our camera to cam 2 over here, like that, and we have our cam 2 around here. And I want to frame this grave looking thing right around here. But right now, as you can see, this might be a little too wide of lens, but I think this is looking quite good, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe something like that where we can see both the crosses, and we can even increase our lens here. So excuse me, in lens settings we have where did it go? Oh, here, there you go, focal length over here. We can change this to 24 millimeters or something like that. See if it works. No, I think that's a little bit too wide, so maybe we can change this to 50 and see how it is. That, and let's frame it. Let's change this to local axis so we can. And that is not bad. We're gonna change our aperture to about 1.4. Now, once we change our aperture, it's going to make our camera a little bit brighter, but we have our exposure settings, so we can change our exposure, drop it down until we like it. So I think maybe 9 will do. 9 does the job. And we're going to change our focus to this crop, to this cross over here. I think that looks all right. Maybe we can move it like this. Oh. Kind of like this shot. So we're gonna create another camera. So let's hit Control and D, and we're gonna create another shot that is looking at our church. Let's change this to cam 3 so we can see what we're doing, and let's move this around here. Look up towards the lantern, but I also want to be able to see the top of the church. So let's move this up, look down a little. Maybe that's a bit too much, so maybe let's even bring this up a bit more. That. So what I have in mind is to create an animation that swipes like this and change the focus towards the church. So that is what I have in mind. We're going to tweak these camera angles a lot more in depth later on once we have sequences. So let's try changing to maybe 75. Now that doesn't look good. Maybe 50. 50 was how it was looking. 35. Okay, 50 was the sweet spot. So I'm going to change that to 50 again and draw our debug plane so that we are focusing on the right thing over here. That. Maybe our focus is a bit too much right now. So let's change this to probably 1.8 and see how this looks. I think that looks all right. But we need to change our exposure again because we have changed the aperture, so it's a little bit darker now. So I think that looks okay. Now let's duplicate again and maybe maybe this time around we can frame probably the ground. Shall we frame the ground? Not quite sure. Let's maybe for the opening shot we can frame the ground and look up towards our church. Let's go to cam 4 like so, and I want to frame this top part. Look up, and we can change this focal length to about 35, and I realized that our other this camera is at 53 focal length, which is weird, so let's change it back to 50. And for down a little bit, but probably go down like this. Looks quite good. So that's the sequence that I want. We're gonna go down like this. That looks okay, and let's change our debug plane towards the top. Right now we can't really see what's going on because of the tree, but we're gonna fix all these shots a little bit later in this part. So let's actually duplicate this camera again, and we're gonna change this to cam 5 now, and let's revert our rotation so we can rotate it a little bit nicer. So let's see if we can frame the well. How well we can frame the well. But I don't think this shot is going to work as much, because maybe it will with the right amount of details. I think it might. So let's look up. Oh, this shot is actually really good. So we might just use this for going down shot. But I also do want the well, so we can probably frame this a little bit better. That doesn't look quite right, so let's down. Nope, it doesn't work too well. Maybe something like this might do. Something like this might be okay. Or we can just go front like this and then look up as we do that. I think that might be nice. So we're gonna leave camera 5 like this. So, oh, where did I go? So let's go into each and individual camera to make sure that we have the right details set. So in this one, what I want to do is rotate. What I want to do is go front like this. So we don't really need anything much anymore since we have worked with this camera. By the way, this will be visible once we render. So let's move this away, and also just in case. We're just gonna plop it so far away. Okay. And we have our camera 2 over here. Now let's select camera 2 and see how this looks. This looks quite alright, but we can add some framing elements to it. Actually, let's go back to camera 1. I had an idea that I wanted to change. So let's go to our foliage and let's select this tree over here. I kind of wanted to make this a little bit bigger and move this to the right a little. Just like that. I think that looks a little bit better. And let's just go back to our selection, and now we can go back to camera 2. We can frame some, we can add some stuff so that it frames quite nicely. But let's move this lamp, let's rotate this around, maybe rotate this even just like this. Looks alright. And we can boost this with an additional light to help us with our lighting. So I'm going to put down a point light, tilt this down, and then our light intensity, I want to change this to about 2, and our source width and height, I want to make this a little bit bigger so the color is a little smoother. Not the color, the shadow is a little bit smoother. I'm going to change this to a little bit yellow orangey color, just like that. Maybe even boost this up to 4. 3, 1, 2, 3. And now this is casting light onto there as well, which we don't want, so we can use our barn door angle to prevent that a little bit, and then we can change our length so that it's preventing the areas around here. Now we can change how the light is coming from, where the light is coming from, by rotating this. And I think that is okay. So one thing you want to do with a lot of the lights is change to movable, especially when you're doing cinematics, because it doesn't really matter too much. But what matters is that if you don't do movable, whenever you put lights in and then they are overlapping their attenuation radius a lot, it can cause some problems that some lights will not cast any shadows and whatnot, and that is not really ideal. So I recommend you to put them into movable. So we have created this one. Let's create a new folder and call this support lights, and we can call this a cross light so that we are a little bit more organized. Now, what else can we do here? I think this is generally looking already better. We can change these color, kind of like yellow. That looks nice with the edge rim light around here. That is quite good. And we can actually go into Cam 3 now. Now I think this is already looking quite good, so I don't think we need any other stuff. We're gonna go into Cam 4. So here, once we go down with the camera like this, I kind of want a little bit more details around here. So for the textures, what you can do here is to use some of our decals. So we have some decals over here. So let's put down our leaked decal over here, and the way to use decal is that you'll see a little arrow, a blue arrow that is showing. That is where the decals will be placed. So we want to tilt this so it is tilting towards our building and around there. You can move it backwards, and you can see how this is affecting around here, but we don't want that. We want this to be from up top. So let's change it like this. Rotate this like this. This is looking a little bit weird. So let's straight this out. Just like that. And then we can rotate this even like this. Move it forward. Move it downwards. You'll see these leakage textures being projected. Now let's change the size of our decal so it doesn't affect that much. We're gonna bring this down a little. That. Now we can change the textures in here, and we have tint, opacity, and I want to change our opacity and bring this up a little like that, and you can see it details. And we have some cracked decals as well, so let's bring these in. Change this to 90 degrees and then move it around. That. And make this a little smaller. Make this smaller even. This. And then we can place it around here. And we're going to change the texture over here. So we have a tint. I want to change this to a little bit brown. Something like that. And we can change our opacity a little bit so it looks like a patch. I think that looks alright. And we can add in more leakage decals here as well. Maybe from the bottom. Stretch these out even to fit decal a little bit more. We can resize our decals. So, and we can duplicate this, rotate this around, rotate and rotate. And let's make sure that it is casting just on the wall like this. So you can change the bounds of your decals by adjusting the size. That and bring it down. And I don't want it on the roof, so let's make this even thinner. Bring this, rotate it so that it's in the right direction. There you go. A little bit of tweaks and you should be fine. I think that this decal is beautiful. I'm going to duplicate it even and place it around this corner like that. We can duplicate this as well, rotate this around 90 degrees, bring it forward. It's a little bit bigger like that. And we can make this shorter and smaller. Bring this up. Maybe rotate it 180 degrees. Up. Like that. And I think that is looking quite good. Up top right here as well, I want some decals to be on there. So let's rotate this 180 degrees. Bring it back. And we can make this smaller. Shorter as well. that. We can duplicate this, rotate this around 90 degrees, this out. Smaller so it doesn't look similar to each other, and that is looking quite nice. So yeah, we have detailed a little bit more and then added some decals, added the cameras. So in the next one we're gonna be animating our cameras, so I'll see you there.